All right, ladies and gentlemen, before we jump into this video, I just want to set a little quick context. One of the biggest challenges that we are seeing with established B2B tech and consulting firms is that growth stalls, not because their service isn't good, but because their lead generation is inconsistent, it's referral based, and it's just really random. In this video, you're going to hear directly from Rocco Lombardo. He's the founder and CEO of SmartWorks Solutions. They're a Boston-based web and enterprise technology firm that's been around for, I believe, almost a decade now. And what you're going to hear is Rocco is going to walk you through what growth looked like before partnering with us, why he was very skeptical going into things, and what changed once we implemented a structured acquisition system. So this isn't a scripted conversation or just some highlight reel. It's a real conversation about what actually works when you're trying to scale a B2B tech firm. Now, before I dive into things, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe for more content related to AI and B2B tech growth strategies. All right, I'll see you in the video.
All righty, Rocco, thanks so much for joining us, and thanks so much for hopping on and sharing your experience of obviously partnering over here with us at Techsuasive. Before we get into everything, get into the specifics, if you don't mind just giving whoever's listening to this a quick introduction of yourself and a little bit of background about SmartWorks and what you guys do.
Sure. Thanks for the opportunity. So my name is Rocco Lombardo, and I am the founder and CEO of SmartWorks Solutions. We're a web tech company out of Boston. We consult on enterprise solutions, mostly in the web space, but we do a lot of Salesforce. We do a lot of integrations with big companies, helping them improve their sales process or their delivery and so forth. And we were lucky enough to find you guys, and we've really launched into this initiative where we're trying to get the word out about the company, and we're having really remarkable success.
Awesome, man. Why don't we just rewind the clock back a little bit here, Rocco? Before we obviously started working together, what were you doing to generate new conversations or pipeline? What was that looking like?
It was pretty anemic, to be really honest with you. It was mostly word of mouth. I started the company 11 years ago, and it was really based on my contacts. Then COVID came in, and it really limited the way people interacted with each other. It was some email campaigns here and there, nothing really organized, and certainly not any kind of measurable effect. I'd run into people, or I'd talk to a friend, or somebody would call about a thing, and we'd be able to transition that into some sort of working relationship, but nothing formal. And it really started to affect our ability to grow and our projections for the future.
Yeah. And why don't you talk a little bit about what the experience has been like working with us as a team and just go into that?
It's funny. I've had this conversation with a couple of people making recommendations about you guys, and I have found it to be one of the very few times in my life where I have been completely and utterly pleasantly surprised. In this business, there's a lot of people pulling on you and calling you and telling you that they have all these great things. And for some reason, your ads, the way we came together really resonated. And then our first conversation was absolutely wonderful. I left the call thinking, how do I make this work, instead of how do I get out of this? I do not come to that conclusion for many of the calls that I take as inbound opportunities. So it's been a real pleasure. It has felt like hiring a partner or partnering with somebody that has your best interest in mind versus trying to use us like an ATM.
Definitely. There's definitely a lot of people in this space that it can sometimes feel like that. And I think that's one of the things that we always try to pride ourselves in, is being an actual partner. And let me say this, we have a lot of clients, and there's certain clients that we really enjoy working with. And you're definitely one of those clients. I don't know if it's because you're Colin, right? That might
Maybe,
might
could
the
be.
connection here, Rocco, you and I.
Right, exactly.
Is there one thing that kind of stands out in terms of how we operate or support you? What would you say comes to the top of your head in terms of that?
There's a couple different things. And I think one, the nature of your solution is so, I hesitate to use the word turnkey because it isn't, but it is. You're well organized. Everything was a routine from top to bottom. I never got the sense that you were making it up or that you were just a day ahead of us trying to pull this together. This is a process. It's got the ability to understand and onboard somebody very clearly. So it's well thought through, and it is clearly being handled. It's got some nuance to it, which I think is where you differentiate yourself from anybody that's got a rote process. But it really was an elegant solution from the beginning. And then as you introduced more team members, each one was more impressive than the next. I just felt like this wasn't an ad hoc solution. This was exactly what you advertised. It was exactly what I'm paying for. And I was very impressed by that. And you don't see that often, certainly in this type of solution. Everybody has an idea, but they don't necessarily have it all worked out into a process. From the template scripts that you guys sent over to the advertising that you could coach us on. One of the benefits of working with you is I don't have to be a subject matter expert in this area. And with my schedule, I don't have the time to learn how to be a marketing guru. I hired you guys with the expectation that you would be, because that's what you said, and you actually did it, which is impressive. And I think that's one of the biggest benefits I have found in working with you guys.
It means a lot. And thank you for that, Rocco. And I wanted to get a little bit more specific in terms of some of the campaigns that we have obviously been launching for you. The most recent campaign that we've been launching, obviously towards a specific industry, what kind of
Yeah.
traction or momentum have you seen with that one so far?
We actually started out the journey, and just to take a step back,
Yeah.
what I found interesting was to this idea that you have a full service solution is that you knew and you set expectations with me very early to say, look, this is going to take several iterations. Don't lose faith. Stick with me on this, and we'll get to the voice that resonates with your potential customer. And sure enough, we did. And so what we found was for our product targeting the manufacturing sector was the right stuff. That was at some point we saw a very baseline of responses, and then all of a sudden we got to the right language and it just shot up. It was practically a 90-degree turn on the number of inbound things. And what was interesting is the early leads that we got in that were not as targeted, the conversations we had were much different than the conversations I'm having now. The people that are coming in, the leads that are coming through the system, they know what they're looking for. They know what they're expecting. And my conversation to them is much more on point. We can get past the pleasantries. We can get right into the nuts and bolts of it. And we're starting to see a much higher rate of interaction with the customer, right? It's still on us to close the deal, but we are coming to the table with everybody a lot closer to understanding what they're looking for, what we produce, and then all we have to do is sell them and help them see the end value of that solution. So I think your team put together several sets of ads, tuned them, told me, look, have faith, we're going to do this. And so I said, I'm all in on this. I'm going to trust you guys. And sure enough, it paid off. You did exactly what you said you would do. You get us into the segment that we needed to market to. And that's great, really.
I really appreciate that, Rock. And it's so important, like what you said. And I think one of the things that we always reiterate to our clients, and I try to always tell them is, hey, we're going to test. And I think that marketing is a science in a way, right? When you're testing different offers, and as long as you're systematic with it, you know exactly what your numbers are going to be, you know what you're looking for. I always say finding a winning offer or winning messaging angle is like drinking from a fire hose at some point, because it's like you're testing all the different things, and as soon as you hit it, you're like, okay, now it's coming through in a lot more than I'm used to. So that's
Yeah.
it's all about having that perspective, right? When it comes to that as well.
I got to tell you, I said this to somebody the other day. A friend of mine was asking how we're doing with this. And I said, I'm just shocked by how well it's doing. And I said, I'm fielding 3 to 5 or 6 calls a week. And in the time that I've had the company, I've never had that kind of volume. I don't talk to 6 people a week, let alone have inbound qualified leads that I know enough about them that I can have a detailed conversation with them in their sort of camp, right? Rather than trying to cold call somebody and hope to God that we've got the right person. I am talking to the person that is the mover, the decision maker on this immediately. It's so different than other systems we've worked with. It really is. It's remarkable.
I appreciate all the kind words, Rocco. It's been such a pleasure working with you over here at Techsuasive. Before we hop off over here, right, we get a lot of people that obviously we talk to that are, to your point, right, skeptical within the market. They see so many different ads. They see so many different people claiming things. If someone's listening to this, if they're another like tech or AI company, and they're debating about whether or not they should work with us, what would you tell them?
Without sounding completely biased, I would say take the chance, because I am the most skeptical person literally on the planet. When you look up skepticism in the dictionary, my face is there. So and that sounds salesy. It sounds whatever. It was a great experience. I'll tell you what, have the first conversation with you. If they're not convinced after that, then that's fine. But I think you spearheading this, the ability to bring people into it, to instill confidence, to speak with it from end to end, every aspect of it was very impressive. And it's the kind of thing that if you're trying to make a decision, you want that confidence that the person that you're bringing, the company that you're going to partner with, is actually going to solve the problems that you can't solve yourself, right? If everybody could solve every problem, we'd need no partners. I was looking for someone to take this off our plate, and you guys were the right people. And that started with that conversation with you. And I'd say for anybody who's on the fence, spend the half hour, spend the 15 minutes, have the conversation. It'll change the way you guys do business. I really would.
Well, Rocco, thanks so much, man. It's been an absolute pleasure. We can't say enough good things about you. And thank you guys. If you are watching this, make sure you guys have a great rest of your day and take it easy.
Likewise. Take care, man.
Now, listen, if you're running a tech, SaaS, or B2B consulting firm and any of that resonated with you, especially the inconsistency around pipeline or relying too heavily on referrals, trust me, you are not alone. The biggest takeaway here isn't just the results SmartWorks is seeing, but why they're seeing them. They have very clear positioning. They have a systematic testing process that we help them with and a repeatable paid acquisition system where they're generating 3 to 6 to 7 meetings a week from this. Now, if you want to understand how this could look like for your business specifically, there's a link below where you could book a short strategy call with me where we'll dive into things. I'll show you exactly what we're doing for other clients like Rocco, what we could potentially do with you, and if it makes sense, we could talk about what that all looks like. Now, if not, there's no worries at all. I hope this gave you a clearer picture of what predictable growth actually looks like behind the scenes. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Take it easy. Ciao.